This is an update on the PELP work on our PELP project, and we're going to call this On the Reformer's Treadmill, how our focus on the job proved a distraction from the work we needed to do. And this essentially represents what we learned during our first year working on the project. Okay. Background: in June 2015, a working group from MPS spent a week at Harvard analyzing the persistent challenges in MPS's work with English learners. The MPS Harvard team are the 8 people you see here, a number of leaders in both the community and the school. They came back with this goal to change the system so that ELs are visible as successful learners. And in their analysis of the problem, they specifically noted two things. One is that EL's language and cultural experiences are not viewed and developed as assets. They're seen as a problem that the system has to fix. And in addition, there's a lack of rigor. They're not being challenged and engaged with high expectations. Again, there are exceptions to this, but by and large, that's what we mean when we say they are not visible as successful learners. Now, the problem though is we fell into the trap of when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And unfortunately, what we are is we are district employees. We are a department that tries to improve instruction. So, our hammer moment was this. When we read the system, when we approached fixing the system, we saw it as the district system, the educational system. And our nail one was we immediately set out to improve the system's capacity to value EL's language and cultural assets. And our nail two was we set out to increase the rigor, the challenge, the engagement, the high expectations in programming for ELs. In other words, we knew how to fix schools, and that's what we started out to doing. And we spent almost all of our time doing that. We've been hammering away at these various problems because it's what we know how to do. And while, as part of this review, later on we'll be sharing our PELP plan, our KPRs, our implementation record, all of the work we've done at a district level to fix these things. However, it occurred to us as we worked on this that the problem is that this is not a system problem, but this is a perception problem. And a perception problem means that it's a communication problem. We need to make English learners visible. So it's not about hammering away at the system, but about communicating. So we had to come up with a theory of communication, an ABC, a simple theory, because clearly we weren't able to pursue it before. Always be closing, no. Always be communicating, a little better. We ended up with this: accomplish, brand, and communicate. Yes, we wanted to improve things, but then we need to take those improvements we're working on and tie them into a story, into a message, and we need to send that message out. Accomplish, brand, communicate. The problem is that we got stuck on the accomplish, and everything we've done so far has been trying to make the system better. But what we've neglected, so our strategy one: human capital. We went out, we developed a grow your own a grow your own to improve to increase the diversity of the English learner. The department has worked legislatively to change a discriminatory teacher licensing policies that barred teachers of color from that tended to be that was barring teachers of colors from the classrooms. We are investigating a second grow your own policy to take bilingual English learners and actually help them to get um, their bachelor's degrees and teacher's degrees at the same time. Customer service, we have been working with buildings to improve that customer service, to send those messages about needing to offer more welcoming places. We have our outreach people in a constant move. We have advocacy groups so that parents can learn to advocate for their own needs in the buildings. We've spent time doing that. Strategy three: global leadership. We have advocated tirelessly to support and grow our immersion programs, our pathways, our Arabic teaching to increase the diversity and strength of our language offerings. Mindshift. We have put together a district-wide Mindshift cohort where we bring teachers and leaders together to investigate ways to change the way we think about English learners. Asset-based narrative. We have been making our English learners more visible to the community. We took a bunch of them to Harvard. We've got a plan to we I don't know what we've done for that one. Rigor and relevance. We are we brought in the we brought in GLAD and implemented it at piloted at dozens of schools with plans to bring more on. We've beefed up our newcomer offerings. We have implemented relevant district-wide policy of level appropriate content reading that was adopted by the entire district over the course of the year. So all of those things working as a reform department at the school level. However, what we weren't doing was we were not tying into, we had not found a message to tie it into. And as we searched through this, we realized this is the message we want to send, something like this. We're creating in our schools the future we wish to inhabit, a world of vibrant, enriching, celebratory diversity. Branding it with a narrative, with a message. If we are committed to challenging a world of global haves and have-nots, of privileged and impoverished, we cannot recreate that world in our schools. We were risking creating a kind of world of enclaves and marginalized groups in our schools, and that was the image of diversity we were putting in front of our children and telling them we are preparing you for a global world. Well, the global world we were preparing for them looked a lot like the one that you'd see in your newspapers, and that's not what our goal is. Our goal, again, is why are we doing these efforts? Why are we pursuing these 6 strategies? Because we have to create in our schools the rich, diverse world that we want to live in. That's the message. We have to tie every effort back into that narrative, and we have completely failed to do that. We have a mind shift. Why are we doing it? Because we need to create that rich, diverse world we want to live in. We do not want our schools to become mirror images of the worst of globalism. We want our schools to be these rich, diverse, accepting, celebratory places. Why are we increasing our diversity? Why are we pushing for greater relevance and greater rigorous and higher expectations for our students? For all these reasons, because that's the world we want and that's the world we need to create in our schools. That's the branding. So, oops, that's what I just explained. Okay. Then the final thing is to communicate. We didn't even have this message particularly well, and we're not communicating it. Our teachers don't know it, our leaders don't know it, our district leadership doesn't know it. We have been getting in front of people, but unfortunately, we have not shaped the message, and we are not putting it in front of them. Therefore, we are this accomplish, brand, and communicate. Ours looks much more like this. We have focused on accomplishing, branding much smaller, communicating barely there at all. In fact, accomplishing more and more and more. This is not going to change perceptions. We need to figure out some way to pump up those other two, to focus on the branding, focus on the communicating, and tie that in. Then we will be actually doing the work, which is to change perceptions and to make English learners visible.